Hi, it's me again, continuing our series about connection, the Connection Corner, and this time it's Connection Corner executives. And what do I mean by that? No, I'm not talking about some VP of Exxon or something like that, or the head of Whole Foods. I'm talking about executives who are in the entertainment industry, who are the people in the ecosystem that might eventually help you get some work. Executives show up, as I'm sure you know, or maybe you don't, so I'll let you know, all over the industry in terms of, television and film is really backed. It's a corporate kind of thing. So it's large corporations that support these television outlets, So when you're thinking about Amazon and Apple and, NBC and CBS and all of the companies, Warner Brothers, there's a bunch of corporate energy in and around the television industry, and it's not bad. It's like those are the people who have the wherewithal and the money and the expertise and the business knowledge to keep creative enterprises going on national television or streaming worldwide or any of that stuff. So executives are everywhere in the entertainment industry, and this video is about connecting with them. So one of the things that you might ask yourself is, how do I connect with executives at different companies, different outlets? How do I find my way to those people? Can you just sort of go up to the studio and like knock on the studio door? And no, that's not how it works. And that's not how it works. But the way it does work is to make those connections that we're talking about in particular ways. So one of those ways may be to go to, as I said last time when we were talking about connecting with other writers, go to events. There are all sorts of events, particularly in Los Angeles where I live, but perhaps also where you live, where there are people who are connected to the industry. So if there are film screenings that are particular, a brand new premiere or a nominated film that is, out in a sort of a promotion capacity, you might find executives there. You might find executives both on stage talking in a panel discussion before or after the film, and you might find people, in the audience who work with those people, other people, assistants or people who help those people. And it's possible to do your research if you're going to a particular kind of event and find out, who are the people, who are the executives around that particular piece? What do they look like? And you can find your way to actually perhaps talking to them if the circumstance allows. Sometimes, there's not really such a great connection or great availability or access to those people, and that's okay. But to go and be in space with them, I think, is one great thing. To know more, to do the research, to find out who are the executives who are in the process of making the kinds of things that I love, that I'm interested in, is a very deliberate and forward-thinking thing for you to do as a writer. Not to just be like, I want to be out there, but who makes the specific kinds of things that I want to be involved in? Who are those people and where are they? And to find out whether they're speaking at a university or whether they're speaking at a screening or something, and to go and to be in the space, the possibility of meeting those people. If you do get to meet them, I think it's important to have just a tiny little elevator speech. Obviously, you have to weigh and measure for yourself what's appropriate. You don't want to be bulldozing or have bad energy, but you might say, hey, I'm a writer. My name is X. I'm really interested in such and such, and bring a question with you. I'm curious about whether this show is staffing soon. And they might say, yes, no, we've already got a writer's room, blah, blah, blah. Or they might say, you know what? I don't really know, but reach out to this person. They might say that. They might not. But you have to be prepared and perhaps roll the dice in those circumstances and see who you can connect to. Because those things do happen. I have connected with people I didn't know because I went up and introduced myself politely, and perhaps, having done the research, already was able to say, I know so-and-so who you also know. And that's the second part of meeting executives, is that, and it really goes back to the previous video about meeting writers. It's so important to have that bridge. I can't tell you, I've talked about this so many times. You don't want to seem like, the image I use, the analogy is, like the unhoused. I am happy to give money to the unhoused, and I volunteered at soup kitchens, and I actually, there's a space in my heart for really helping out those folks who are down and out. And at the same time, it all depends on if I get approached by one of those folks. Do I have money? Do I have energy? Am I in the mood? How do they approach me? How are they outfitted? How are they equipped? What's their energy? All of those things are factors involved in whether or not I give somebody something. If I stand there and talk to them, if I have a protein bar and I give it, all of those things. And I'm sure you're the same. So the same thing is true of executives. You really want to build that bridge rather than have an assault. You really want to give them space, and you really want to let them know who you are in a good way, because so many people are approaching those folks. So the second thing I just want to say is, this goes back to that connections. The connections piece about your fellow writers. If you know other people, then perhaps the people you know could introduce you to some people you don't know. I've had writers say to me, "Oh my God, I just had a great meeting with such and such, and you should really meet with them." I've had other people say, "Oh, you know what? I heard that such and such is going on, and my friend blah, blah, blah might be able to tell you something about it." Or I meet with another writer and they say, "Ooh, this is a good connection for you," or "This person is an executive and I went to college with them," all of that. Anyway, I support you in both finding your way to connecting with executives in a gentle way, and also recognizing that the people you know might also be able to build you a bridge toward people you don't know, and that might help you in the industry. And that's just the kernel that might grow a relationship, a professional relationship that might last for decades and years to come, and perhaps bring you lots of opportunities and lots of work. And that's what it's all about. So happy networking. Go out there and connect with executives. If you have questions about that, or how it works, or suggestions, or things that you want to say about how that's worked in your career or currently does, put it in below this video and let us know. And if there are questions we can answer and dialogue with, happy to do that. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.